How y'all doing? My name is Manny Santana, owner and founder of Meet to Keep Matchmaking Services, based out of Miami, Florida, 1200 Brickell Ave, Suite 1950, Miami, Florida. This video series that I'm about to start is called Understanding Men. I feel as though it's imperative for women to understand men. Men were given the tools to understand women starting at an early age, but women are not given the same tools to understand men, and that causes a disconnect with dating and relationships. So that's why I decided to create this video series explaining women, about men, about our psychology, about our physiology, about our biology, everything you need to know about men. I'm going to try to jam-pack as much information as I can. I don't want to have it, too lengthy, but please sit back, relax for the next hour or so, take some notes, and learn. Now, the first thing I want to talk about for this series called Understanding Men is understanding the difference between being a male, being masculine, and being a man. Now, being a male just simply means that you was born with the male reproductive organ. It's a biological thing. Now, being masculine is a physical thing. Now, being masculine can mean, someone that's tall, someone that's athletic, someone that women find attractive, someone who's strong both physically and emotionally, someone that doesn't take shit from anybody, someone that's not a pushover, someone that's, an alpha male, a tough guy. Now, being a man is something that's spiritual and emotional. Now, being a man is simply someone that is responsible, someone that respects women, someone that takes care of his kids, if he has kids, someone that upholds the law, someone that is just an all-around good individual. Now, if someone is masculine, that doesn't necessarily make him a man. It might make him a male, but it doesn't necessarily make him a man. And someone that's a man might not be masculine, but that's okay. Because at the end of the day, what we have to understand as a society is swag doesn't pay the bills. Muscles don't pay the bills. And neither of the two is going to cause a man to be faithful or loyal to one woman. You see what I'm saying? Now, being masculine might get you picked first, in elementary school, when you're in elementary school in recess, or in gym class, when they're picking teams for sports, you might get picked first. But, and someone that was always picked first tends to, become more masculine or more physically, excel more physically later in life. Because again, like I said, being masculine is something physical. A man that's masculine simply has a higher testosterone level than another man who's not as masculine. But again, it doesn't necessarily make him a man. Now, someone who's masculine, someone who's a good man, they're both males. Again, like we said, being a male is something biological. If you was born with a male reproductive organ, that makes you a male. But again, we have to differentiate being a man and being masculine. Again, someone who's masculine doesn't necessarily have the characteristics or the attributes as a man. He might not have the same morals, the same character as a man. And that's what we have to understand as a society. Someone might not be as masculine, but we have to give him credit if he has the right attributes that are needed for a successful relationship. Now I want to talk to you all about being emotional and having emotions. Now, there's a difference. Being emotional is something that's caused by estrogen levels. That's why sometimes you might see a woman, she's arguing or she's yelling at you and all of a sudden she starts crying. That's estrogen that causes that. But having emotions is something that everyone has. It's something that's natural. When you look at a baby, a newborn baby, you can tell, you can differentiate when they're sad, when they're mad, when they're scared, when they're happy, when they're surprised. All of those are emotions, and those emotions are expressed in your face. It's your brain that sends a signal to your face that gives you that emotional picture of what you're feeling is expressed in your face. Now, the thing is, again, the human experience causes us to have emotions. Again, being mad, being sad, being scared, being happy, being surprised. All of these are all emotions. But the problem is this. There's that one particular emotion, or couple really, that men aren't allowed to have. If a man is sad, he's looked down upon. Like, oh, you're a punk. But the thing is this. Being sad and other emotional, what we call emotional emotions, are normal for men. Now, I'm not saying that if a man or a boy breaks his nail or something like that, something very minute, very small, he's supposed to cry about it and make a big fuss about it. That would be emotional. That'd be him being emotional. That's something that's unattractive to people as a society, especially, to girls. They don't find that attractive for a man to be emotional. But for a man to have emotions is normal, because the thing is this: women want men to marry them, but in order to marry someone, you have to be in love with them, and in order to be in love with someone, you have to have emotions, because being in love is an emotion. So how could we keep men from having emotions? They would, as a result, not be able to love a woman or be in love with a woman, and as a result, not marry women. Now, one of the biggest questions that women have is, why won't men commit to one woman, and why are men afraid to fall in love? All right, now it all goes back to the whole emotion thing. A lot of boys, when we're growing up, we're taught to be tough, which there's nothing wrong with that, but a lot of times we take it to the extreme, where if you cry, even if you broke your leg, broke your arm, you're not allowed to cry. It's like, oh man, you're being a punk. So what that turns into is bottled up emotion, bottled up inside, where you're not able to express it. Because one, people will look at you a certain way, they'll look down on you if you express yourself. So men, we're afraid of expressing ourselves to a woman if we're interested in them, because again, the way people will look at us. But it's been scientifically proven that men fall in love faster than women. Women fall in love harder than men. I'm gonna say it again. Men fall in love faster than women. Women fall in love harder than men. So the point is, when a man experiences that emotion, like he's falling in love with this woman, he freaks out. A lot of times, women might tell me, they say, oh, well, I started dating this man, and all of a sudden, things were going well, and all of a sudden he just MIA on me. All of a sudden I stopped hearing from him. What happened, most likely, what happens a lot of times is the man was starting to fall for you, and he started to freak out, because he's not prepared for this whole love thing, this emotion thing, because he doesn't know what's going to happen as a result. He's been told his whole life that if you love a woman, you're going to get played. That's actually, believe it or not, but it's an actual myth that men have. We feel as if there's a myth, whoever falls in love first gets hurt. Now, women have an emotional support system. If a woman gets her heart broken, all her friends are going to gather around, they're going to eat ice cream, they're going to have her back. If a man gets his heart broken, all his boys are going to be like, who gives a fuck, man? Let's go out to the club, let's go fuck bitches. You see what I'm saying? Part of my French, but I'm being straightforward here. That's what a man's going to get. He's not going to get that type of support system. So in order to avoid that vulnerability, he has to talk to as many women as possible. When I was 21 years old, a guy told me, an older guy told me, he said, look, don't ever talk to one woman. Always keep 4 or 5 women around. Because the thing is, when you have 100% of emotion to give, you don't want to give all 100% to one person. You have to distribute it. If you talk to 5 women, you're distributing it to 5 girls. All girls are getting 20% of your emotion. So you're at an advantage, so to speak, where you're not at a vulnerable position to be at such a loss. Women, on the other hand, are able to give their all to a man easier because that risk that she's taking, because being in love, falling in love is a risk. She has a support system. She's prepared to get hurt. Men are not prepared to get hurt. Alright, so this next topic I want to talk about is very touching. It's very deep, but please hear me out and understand what I'm gonna say. I don't mean to offend anyone, but please hear me out. Now, I want to talk to you about nature versus nurture. One of the oldest arguments, oldest debates in psychology. Now, for a man, being a father is something that is nurtured, not nature. Hear me out. I'm going to explain to you why. A woman is physiologically prepared to be a mother. You have a monthly menstrual cycle that reminds you of childbirth. You have things that happen to you with your hormones. You have your breasts, they produce milk in order to nurture a baby. If you look at the human anatomy, the female skeletal system in the pelvic region is wider than the male pelvic region for the simple purpose of giving birth, to make it easier to give birth. So what that means is women are always prepared to be mothers. As a child, you're taught and prepared on being a mother. A man doesn't get that same conditioning. What I mean by it is this. Now ladies, if you have a baby and you're pushing a stroller down the street and a woman comes up to you and says, oh, what a cute baby, can I hold him, peekaboo boo gaga, you're not going to be weirded out. If a guy comes up to you and says, oh, the same thing, you're going to get weirded out and freaked out, like, what does this guy want? In early childhood development classes, or early childhood development in general, there's more women. You don't see too many men that are first grade teachers or things like that. In high schools, they have classes, motherhood preparation classes, things like that. They don't have those same resources for men. So what happens as a result, men are not mentally prepared or naturally prepared to be a father, because remember, human life is created and formed inside of a woman. It's not created and formed inside of a man. So a man is not necessarily prepared for it. So a man can be sleeping with a woman, or two people can be sleeping with each other. All of a sudden a woman gets pregnant. She's like, okay, we're about to have a child. She's mentally prepared, okay. The man, on the other hand, he's not prepared for it. It's like, I was just having fun. But this is the thing. Being a father is something that is nurtured for a man. So ladies, what you have to do is, before you get involved with a man, before you get sexually involved with a man, you have to find out what is his views on being a father. Because him becoming a father overnight is not going to happen. That's like someone coming up to you, telling you, pack your stuff, you're moving across the country. You're not prepared for it. You're like, what the fuck? It's the same thing that happens to a man. But some men are prepared for it because of their nurturing, either from their father or a father figure. Being a father is something that is taught to a man. Men, we look up to, at a young age, we look up to older men. We look up to our fathers. We look up to our uncles. We look up to our stepdads. Anyone that's a male father figure, positive or negative, but we look up to male figures. So we need that nurturing. Now, I'm not saying that a man that didn't have his father is not going to be a good dad. There are exceptions to the rule. But the rule is a man has had to have had his father around, or a father figure around, to know how to be a father. Because being a father is something that is nurture, not nature for a man. Alright, so this next video I want to talk about is men are not wired or built to say no to sex. Now let me give you an example. In 1992 there was a movie, Boomerang, with Eddie Murphy and Halle Berry. Now there was an individual in the movie, the late great actress, I think her name was Eartha Kitt or something like that. She was interested in Eddie Murphy. She was in her 70s, he was in his 30s. She invited him over. She tried to seduce him. There was no way out of it. He ended up sleeping with her even though he didn't want to. Now, you have to understand, in a legal aspect, the woman always have the advantage. A man is not going to say no to sex. How could you say no? Because you have to understand biology. Sex, for a man is an external thing. For a woman, it's an internal thing. A man is on the offense, the woman is on the defense. The man is doing the penetration, the woman is being penetrated. So, the man is not gonna turn down something when he's on offense. So, I say that to say this. I'm not saying that I condone cheating. Cheating is never right by any means. But there are some times where women might throw themselves at a man. He might be married, he might be in a relationship, but he doesn't know how to say no. Because again, men are never taught how to say no. At an early age, we're taught to sleep with as many women as possible. Women are taught the complete opposite. So, a man is not programmed psychologically to say no to sex. So sometimes that happens, a man, maybe he wasn't looking to cheat, but he ends up cheating on his girlfriend simply because a woman, for lack of better terms, threw herself at him, and he had no way of repelling it. Now, see, that's something that we don't talk about. We always talk about a man going out, cheating on his wife or cheating on his girl, but we have to understand that there are two sides to the story, that sometimes that might be the case. And again, it's all, it's something that is, it's not embedded in us. That probably should be embedded, but it's just not in society. Men were not taught to turn down sex. Just like in the movie Godfather, like he said, two things you never turn down in life: money and sex. But again, men were not given the appropriate tools. We're not equipped appropriately on how to turn down a woman. Women all day, every day, a man can approach you. Sorry, I'm taken. Sorry, I have a boyfriend. You can reject men left and right. Man doesn't know how to do that. A woman can sit there and flaunt her wedding ring and say, I'm taken, or sorry, I have a boyfriend, or, I don't think my boyfriend would appreciate you talking to me. A man doesn't say the same thing like, sorry, I'm taken, my girlfriend wouldn't appreciate you talking. Which is probably something that does need to be practiced more, but it's something that's not currently being practiced. Now this next video is going to be very, very mature. I'm going to be talking to you all about sex being a physical art for men that requires practice. Sounds kind of funny, but I'm going to explain to y'all what I mean by that. Now, sex, the longevity of the act of sexual intercourse is determined by the man. It is determined by the ability of the man to be able to sustain. Once the man has an eruption, it's done. It's over. So the thing is, if you haven't been to the gym in a long time and you decide to go to the gym, you're going to be kind of off, right? It's going to take some time for you to get back into shape. You're going to be struggling at first. The same thing goes for sex. Now, a man is able to last longer if he practices more. The more sex a man has, the better he gets at it. So, I say that to say this. A lot of times, women might, not be interested in a man, or, dump a man because, she slept with him once and it wasn't a good experience. But the thing is, because sex is a physical art, even if a man did not, he didn't produce, so to speak, the way he was supposed to, doesn't mean that he's not going to get better. All it takes is a little more practice. Now, it sounds kind of funny. It sounds kind of silly, but it's the truth. And that is the reason why men are, promiscuous, and we go out and we try to sleep with as many women as possible, and we try to not go without having sex. It's because we have to stay in shape sexually. Just like, going to the gym, if you haven't been to the gym in a long time, you're going to get out of shape. So if you haven't had sex in a long time, you're going to get out of shape sexually. Women don't have to worry about that. Women don't have to, be able to keep up. A woman, physiologically, she's always going to be able to keep up. It's up to the man to be able to keep up. So that's the reason why a lot of men, we go out, we try to sleep with as many women, and things like that. Again, it's just, all it is really, for lack of better terms, is practice. Because men, we have a myth that in order to keep a woman, you have to satisfy her sexually. That's the only way to keep her happy. Now, to piggyback on what I said earlier, why do men want sex so bad? Well, according to our beliefs, our myths, sex is a deal breaker for relationships. When I was 20 years old, a coworker of mine, he was like a big brother figure to me. He was 28. He told me one day, he said, look, man, the only way to keep your girl from cheating on you or leaving you is to handle business in the bedroom. It don't matter if you treat her right, if you spend money on her, spend time, do everything right. If you're not handling business in the bedroom the way you're supposed to, she'll either cheat on you or leave you. So with that being said, men feel as if we have to perform very well sexually, or else you're not a man, or else you're gonna lose your woman. And it's not an easy feeling for a man to lose his woman, because again, it's a man's job to pursue a woman, to get the woman. To lose her, it's kind of like a failure. So you have to do what you have to do to keep her around, to keep her satisfied. Now, whether that's true or not, in some cases that can be true. I'm not saying for all women that's the case. I'm not saying all women require, great sex to stay attracted to a man. But some women do require that. And a fear of a man is to be viewed as a sucker or a loser or a lame. And that's what's going to happen as a result. Like, you couldn't hit it right. Pardon my French. If you can't hit it right, you look down upon. Now, ladies, you can't change a bad boy a knucklehead, whatever whatever term you want to use. Only a bad boy who wants to change will change. And he will only change for that special woman. Now ladies, think of it this way. Have you ever been at the club and there's all these guys around? And all these guys, they're trying to talk to you. But there's that one special guy that you're waiting for to talk to. And you're rejecting every man that comes talk to you until that one guy comes talk to you. Or, here's another example. An ex-boyfriend or whoever the case may be, there's that one guy in your life that just stands out from the rest. He's just the most important lover you ever had. No one will ever take his place. No one will ever compete with him. The same thing goes for men, believe it or not. There's always that one special woman that no one will ever outdo. So the same way, if a woman is not interested in a particular guy, no matter what he does, you're just not going to give him a chance. You're just not interested in him. He's going to keep wasting his time. Steve Urkel was wasting his time trying to get at Laura for the whole television series of Family Matters. The same thing goes with a guy that's, a ladies' man or a bad boy or whatever the case may be. The more you keep on trying to change him, you're actually going to hurt yourself more and more in the process, because he's not going to change for you unless he already made that determination that you are that special woman that he wants to change for. But there's no point of investing that time and trying to be with a man that needs to be changed. You're better off finding a man that's already changed. Don't look for that extra work, that extra project, that challenge. You're wasting your time. Find a man who's already changed. Going back to what I said before about father figures and role models and stuff, the only person that can change a man is his father. If a man had a positive male influence that showed him how to be a one-woman man, he'll be a one-woman man. But if his father was a womanizer, chances are he will also be a womanizer. Again, there's exceptions to the rule. But again, men, we go by example. So again, ladies, please, I beg y'all, stop trying to change men who are no good, that you know is no good, that doesn't want anything serious. He's being with all these women, and you want to be that special woman that changed his mind, that made him want to settle down. From the get-go, he already determined if you're that woman or not. Because remember, men fall in love faster than women. So there comes a certain point of time, if you're not that special woman, you'll never be that special woman. All right, now, this is a little known fact. Men live for women. That's a fact. The Bible even says a man's treasure is his woman. A woman's treasure is her hair. Now, I had a discussion with an older woman one time. She was in her 30s. And I told her, men go to the club strictly to find ladies. Strictly for the ladies. And she was shocked. She didn't know that. And I said, yes, I know you didn't know that. See, a lot of times, you might go to the club. You might see a group of women. It's just ladies' night out. Women only. They don't want to be bothered. If a man goes and intrude and try to talk to them, they're going to shut them out. Hey, ladies only. Because for them, going out to the club wasn't for them to go find a man that night. They just wanted to spend some time with the girls. Guys, even if it's just the guys' night out, that's just code. A guy is always on the prowl. He's always hunting. Men live for women. See, in Atlanta, back in my club promoting days, the oldest trick in the book, the best trick in the book, is to have a night where ladies free all night. Because if it's ladies free all night, all the ladies in the city are gonna show up. Even if they're not paying, you're still gonna make even more money than the weekend before, because all the guys are gonna show up simply because they know that all the girls are gonna be there, because ladies free all night. And whenever those ladies free all night, you go to any club in Atlanta, those ladies free all night, man, it was like, I mean, you've never seen that many people in your life. I mean, lines of wrapping around blocks. You're waiting in line for hours. They're reaching to capacity within an hour or two. Again, it's because men live for women. I remember in high school, a friend of mine said, he said, think about it. We're out here trying to get jobs. You know, I got my first job at Burger King when I was 16. And I was when I first got my job. My friend said, think about it. We're over here looking for jobs, getting our first jobs, to have money, to buy clothes, to look good, to get the girls, to have money, to be able to get dressed with those nice clothes, to take girls out on dates, to spend money on dates, again, to get girls. Then on top of that, we're buying protein shakes, we're paying for gym memberships to get in shape, to look good, again, to get the girls. When it's all said and done, everything a man does revolves around girls, around women, around females, around getting the girl. So with that being said, based off what I said before, only thing that'll make a man change is a reason to change. Women have to give men a reason to change, and they'll change. Men do what they do, say what they say, act the way they act, simply because it's respected or accepted by women. If it's otherwise, men won't do it. And that's the bottom line. Now, piggybacking on what I just said earlier, women compete with each other, right? Women shop for clothes to compete with other women. If you go to a club or a party or whatever the case may be, you know, a female, and she sees another female wearing the same outfit as her, it's like, oh, she's wearing the same outfit as me. Or, you know, the Oscars, if two celebrities wore the same dress, everyone's going to compare the next day, okay, who wore it better? But they're not talking about, oh, who wore that suit better at the Oscars. No one really cares. Again, because women compete with each other. Women, you know, look nice and get dressed to compete with each other, because every woman wants to feel like she's the most beautiful person in the world, which is fine. I understand that. Men, on the other hand, everything we do is based off of competing to get women. See, there's a difference. Women compete with each other to feel better about themselves, or, you know, things like that. Men, we compete with each other to get women. Because men are hunters. We're naturally born hunters. Our job is to go out and get it. We have to go out and get that job. We have to go out and get that girl. Men are hunters. So, a lot of times, women get upset. You know, I hear women say it all the time, like, oh, these guys are thirsty, and these guys, you know, I'm at the club, and all these guys are trying to talk to me. That's their job. That's what they're supposed to do. They're hunters. Their job is to get the woman. How else is he supposed to get the woman if he's not approaching women? It's his job. See, I've actually conducted this social experiment myself, where I could be somewhere in public and there's an attractive woman around, and she wants me to talk to her. I avoid her, I ignore her, I don't talk to her. And after 5 minutes, she's like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Why won't he talk to me? She feels like, you know, either she feels like, man, am I not attractive, or what the hell's wrong with this guy? But if a man or too many men approaches a woman, she might get irritated by it. But this is the thing with women, what you have to understand about men. If a man approaches you, he doesn't know how many men approach you today. All he knows that it's his job to approach you, because he's competing with other men. It's part of nature. It's like a primal thing. It's, you know, it's always mating season for men. We have to compete with other men. We have to approach you. See, But women have to also understand that sometimes it's not an easy task. It could be a daunting task. I know somebody, a woman that she made the first move. She, slid in the DMs, and the guy kind of shut it down. And she was like, "Man, this shit sucks. Is that what it's like?" Yes. Not every man is a Casanova. Some men might get rejected all day, every day, or it takes a long time to finally get accepted. Being rejected is not something fun, not something easy, so it can be frustrating. Now, I'm not saying that it's right if a man gets rejected by a woman and he cusses her out like, "Fuck you, you ain't even that pretty anyway." It's not right. He should never do that. But women have to understand that it is a hard thing. Approaching strangers all day, every day, because that's your duty, is just not an easy thing to do. So, women, you kind of have to make it a little, go a little bit easier on the guys. It will make life a lot easier for both men and women. Again, I'm not saying that men should ever disrespect a woman. You should never disrespect a woman. You should never put your hands on a woman. There's incidents where guys, can't handle the rejection and harm the woman. You should never do that. But ladies, understand that this whole courtship thing and trying to, hunt is just not an easy task. Now let's talk about the friend zone. Men and just being friends. Now, like I said before, it's a man's job to hunt. A man is always trying to get a female. Whether it's romantically or sexually, he's always trying to get a female. Now, with that being said, no man sits there, goes somewhere in public, sees an attractive female, and says, "My oh my, I would love to be friends with her. She looked like she would be a great friend." No man in the world ever says that. So a lot of times women might play the card like, "Oh, I didn't know he liked me." Of course he did. The only exceptions are, like an age difference, a religious difference, no attraction, you're his best friend's sister, or you're his sister's best friend. There's certain parameters, there's certain things that are off limits, but for the most part, that's never the case. Now, unless you've been friends with this guy for your whole life, you guys are like brother and sister or something like that. But for the most part, no man wants to be in the friend zone. It's something that's kind of uncomfortable for men. It kind of feels like a failure. Men see it as a failure if you was pursuing a woman and she just friend zoned you. She just pretty much said that you're not good enough to be of romantic interest, a love interest for me. We're just gonna be friends. No man likes that. There's reasons for it. I mean, I would have to talk about it in a video session called Understanding Women. Some men don't understand why they are friend zoned. I understand. I'm not gonna get into it, but men never like being in the friend zone. And, a lot of women, they don't understand, like, what is this big deal about this friend zone thing? Again, it's a failure. It's like your job as a man is to win a woman over, whether it's sexually, romantically, whatever the case may be. But to be friend zone means that you failed. And again, like we said, men are hunters, so it's like a hunter going out and not getting the deer. You failed. So again, ladies, no man wants to be just friends. Just get that out of your mind. Unless there's some kind of an age difference, some sort of a violation as far as like that's your best friend's brother, you can't date him, something like that. Or, again, someone that you've known for a long time and you guys really have no type of chemistry, no type of spark. But if a man is showing interest, he's not showing you interest because he really just wants to be a friend. He's interested in you. But what women have to understand is sometimes the best person to date is someone that you're friends with because he already has a respect for you. Unfortunately, a lot of men don't respect women. They see women as objects. But someone who's your friend knows you for who you are, respects you for who you are, didn't have to put on a front to pretend to be somebody that he's not just to win you over. You already know who he is. He already know who you are. So honestly, the whole friend zone thing, a lot of women, it's just like, it's a violation for them. Like, I'm not dating some guy that I'm friends with. It's like weird to them. It's actually one of the best things you could do. Some of the best relationships happen from a guy and a girl who were originally just friends. Again, because of that respect that's already there, because of that foundation that's already there. You're not a stranger to a man that you just meet at the bar. Who are you to him? You see what I'm saying? A relationship might develop, but at the end of the day, he's not gonna care for you the way someone who's already a friend to you, the way he'll care about you. Alright, now we're gonna talk about the difference between a nice guy and a good man. People tend to confuse the two. A nice guy, quote unquote, is a man who's maybe not attractive, according to standards, according to what society says is attractive. He might not be confident. He might be a pushover. And he's just too needy. He just shows too much of softness. He's just too soft. Now, there's a difference between being sweet and being soft. A man is supposed to be sweet to a woman, but to be soft is a whole nother ballgame. A guy is supposed to be kind to a woman, but to be nice is a whole nother ballgame. But see, a good man is going to be kind to you, and is going to be sweet to you. The nice guy is going to be soft, and is going to be nice. In other words, what I mean by nice is being a pushover. Let you get away with everything. Let you talk to him however you want. A real man is not going to tolerate, a woman, walking all over him. But too many times, people feel as if your only options is the quote-unquote nice guy or the bad boy. But if you think about it, if you look at movies, TV shows like The Bachelor, things like that, a lot of these, these shows, the contestants or the main character, the Bachelor, if you look at them, they always have a balance to them. They're usually, an attractive guy, successful, tall, athletic, but at the same time, he's not rude, disrespectful. He knows how to treat women. He's a gentleman. He knows how to talk to women. See, there's a balance. We tend to forget that there are bad boys, there are nice guys, but there's also good men. A good man is going to have, I guess you could say, the physical attributes as a bad boy, but he's going to have the same heart and compassion and respect as the nice guy. So ladies, you have to understand that you have to find the balance between the bad boy, the nice guy, and the good man. Alright, next thing I'm going to talk about is men and money. Now, first, let's differentiate that a good man, a faithful man, and a successful man is three different things. Now, just because a man has money doesn't necessarily make him a man. It just makes him wealthy. So a lot of women, I hear, they say, oh, so what are you looking for in a man? They'll say, he has to, have money or be attractive, tall, dark, and handsome, whatever the case may be. But the thing is, money can't buy love. And just because a man has money doesn't mean he's going to use that money to buy you a ring or pay for a wedding. Doesn't mean that he's faithful. Doesn't mean that he's loyal. So instead, you have to find a man who's faithful and loyal first. And again, just because a man is a good man, now when I say good, I mean a good citizen, doesn't break the law, things of that nature. Doesn't necessarily mean that he's faithful or anything like that. And just because a man is broke, he's not always going to be broke. Just like we said before, some things can change. A man's sexual capabilities can change. also a man's financial situation can change as well. Now, a man's character is not going to change. Who he is who he is. How he was raised, how he was raised. So you can't really, change the bad boy. But a man that doesn't have money doesn't mean that he's not worth anything. Doesn't mean he doesn't have value. Because, again, a man can make $2,000 a week. Another man can make $200 a week. And the man that makes $200 a week has more money at the end of the week. Or the man that has $200 a week is willing to buy you a ring. And the man that makes $2,000 a week is not. It's because of the heart. It's what someone's intentions are. You see what I'm saying? It's the thought that counts. So, and another thing about money, again, this is going to sound kind of wrong, but please, ladies, don't take this offensive. But a lot of men that have money kind of get big-headed. They feel as if they can buy as many women as possible. What I mean by it is this. Just because a man spends money on you and buy you gifts and does this, does that, he can do that for a lot of women. He can take you out on a date, but he can take 10 other women out on a date too. Just because he bought you a purse doesn't mean he can't buy other women a purse. So you can't be paying attention to the fact that, okay, this man, he really loves me, or he really likes me, or he's interested in me because he's spending money on me. Again, like they say, money can't buy love. Just because he's spending money on you doesn't mean that he really likes you. This is another truth. Again, it's going to sound bad, but a friend of mine has told me one time he went on a date, and at the end of the date, the woman paid for the date. And he was confused. He was like, why are you paying for the date? She said, it's because I don't want you to feel as if I owe you anything. What she meant by it was sex. She didn't want him to feel as if she owes him sex because of that. A lot of men feel as though I'm going to spend money on her because I'm going to get something in return. It's like a return on investment. That's how a lot of men feel. I mean, this is the truth. I mean, I'm just being as blunt as possible. But that's just the way some men feel. I mean, for example, ladies, if you went to a store and and bought shoes and you paid for the shoes, and when you're about to leave with the shoes, the cashier said, no, you can't leave with the shoes. It's like, well, I just spent $200 for these shoes. You're telling me I can't leave with the shoes? You're going to be kind of upset. So a lot of men kind of feel entitled. Like, if I take you out on a date and I'm not going to get sex, what the fuck is that? That's how some men feel, because at the end of the day, sex is enjoyable for both parties. Both parties are benefiting from the sex, but only the man is spending money. So the man feels as if he's more at a disadvantage, and that's why he's more determined to get the sex. Now, if a man goes on 8 dates this month with 8 different women and spend $200 each, how much money did he spend? And if none of those 8 women spent any money, and all of those 8 women went on 8 dates themselves with 8 other men that didn't spend any money, that's 8 guys that spent $1,600 each, and all these women that didn't spend any money. So again, you can't look at the money that a man has or the money that a man spends, because there's more to it. It's about what he has in his heart and not in his pocket. Now, how do men feel about women pursuing them? Alright, it's flattering, but again, men feel as if it's our job to win you over. That's why men, are going to take you out on dates. We're going to spend the money, because at the end of the day, it's our job to win you over. Now, the thing is, it's been scientifically proven, like I said before, men fall in love faster than women. Now, the reason why that has to be, nature has to make men fall in love faster than women, because in order for a man to decide that he wants to pursue you, he has to fall in love with you. He's not going to pursue you if he didn't fall in love with you. But after he fell in love with you, and he pursued you, he has to earn your love. He has to win you over. That's why a woman should never pursue a man. A woman should never chase a man, because, like we said before, men will never turn down a woman, sexually or romantically. Because, again, it's kind of a relief. Yes, it's our job. We have to put in the work. But a woman that just pursued you and said, look, I want to be with you, I like you, in a man's mind, it's like, oh shit, that's less work I have to do. It's guaranteed for me. You see what I'm saying? That's like, you know, it's like getting a paycheck without having to work. Who would turn down a paycheck and not having to work? So it's kind of like free money. It's easy money, so to speak. So that's why a woman should never pursue a man, because again, especially if you're attractive, if he's attracted to you, doesn't necessarily mean he sees you as a potential wife. It's the same vice versa. A woman could say, I think you're cute, but I'm not into you like that. A man can think the same thing, but he's not going to say the same thing. Again, because it's just guaranteed sex for him. Why would he just turn you down? You said that you like him, you want to be with him, you're pursuing him, you're putting in all this work, you're calling him. He's going to be like, oh, hell yeah. Fuck it, it's a free ride. So that's why you see a lot of times, like, you know, relationships that go on for a long time and the man never married the woman. It's usually because he didn't even want to marry her to begin with. It was just free, it was guaranteed, and he just got complacent, he got comfortable. And again, like, why would he just dump her that easily when he already has something at home? It's just a cushion for him. Instead of having to go out and meet women and starting all over, it's kind of like it's less work that he has to do. So he might keep a woman around that he doesn't even see as a potential wife, simply because he doesn't have to work at it. But again, that's why a woman should never pursue a man. Don't chase a man. It's a man's job to chase you, because if you don't want that man, you're gonna let it be known. You're gonna shut him down. A man cannot sit there and be consistent and keep on trying to be with you, because if you don't want to be with him, you're gonna let it be known. And if he doesn't get the picture, you can say that is harassment. A man's not gonna say that you're harassing him, that you keep on trying to pursue him. He's just gonna be like, fuck it, and just go with the flow and just accept it, just because. It sounds horrible. I know it's bad, but again, people bully people because they know they can. A man is gonna be with you because he know he can. It's just the truth. Now, one thing that aggravates women a lot is when a man will put his friends first, when he will prioritize his friends over his woman. Now, there's a couple reasons for that. One, men have an everlasting fear of losing masculinity, of losing your manhood. So man has to constantly be around men to kind of feed off of the masculinity and remain masculine. Because a man is afraid if he's around women too much, he's going to lose that masculine edge. If he's hanging out with his girlfriend too much and they're watching chick flicks, or they're doing all this feminine stuff, or she's, you know, bringing him around her girlfriends and talking about all this female stuff, he's going to lose his masculine edge. Now, for example, there's that commercial where that guy, he's taking a shower and his girlfriend says, hey honey, can you pass me the whatever the case may be, and what he was bathing with was actually like a soap for feminine purposes without him realizing it. Then the next few scenes, it shows him doing all these masculine activities, you know, drinking beer and axing and lifting heavy weights and doing all this stuff. And at the end, he sits down, him and his girl, and she's like, oof, that was close. So the point is, that's the fear. A man has a fear, a constant fear, an everlasting fear of losing his masculinity. Part of it is because, remember, all women have an XX chromosome, all men have an XY chromosome. So every man has an X chromosome. So biologically speaking, every man has some sort of femininity. I know I'm going to have some angry people, but every man has some sort of femininity inside of him. That's why you hear people say, oh, he's getting in touch with his feminine side. Yes, every man has that, no matter how hardcore you are. It's just something that's shadowed. It's something that you don't reveal. But again, it's a fear of all men to lose that. So in order to keep it, you have to stay around the bros. You have to be around men constantly. If you're in a class full of women, or if you're in an atmosphere of nothing but women, it's a fear of yours. Just like, if a guy he growing up and he has nothing but sisters, or he has nothing but female cousins, his father or his mother, they're gonna try to get him to be around other boys, around other guys, in the neighborhood, just to remain masculine. Women don't have that fear, that same problem, simply because women have two X chromosomes and don't have a Y chromosome. So women don't have that same risk, so to speak. So, and also, it's a maturity thing as well, because at the end of the day, a man should always put his woman first, period. So it's also a maturity thing. So women, what you have to understand is, if you're dealing with a man that's putting his bros before you, and he wants to go out and party and do things like that, as opposed to being with you, then he's probably not someone that you want to be with. Not saying that he shouldn't be allowed to go out with his friends, but he should always put you first. He should always turn down time with his boys to be with you instead. But again, it's a maturity thing. And it's not only just a maturity thing, it's how much he wants you. If he really wants to be with you, he'll put in that effort. It goes back to what I said before. It's about the whole pursuing thing. Did you pursue him, or did he pursue you? If you pursued him, then that probably is the reason why. That answers your question. So again, men and putting their friends first, I understand it's annoying, but that's the reason behind it. Now, do men respect or not respect fast women? I'm going to use the term fast women to be politically correct. I'm not trying to be offensive here. Now, a lot of girls will tell me that, good girls finish last. Just like we discussed before, that the nice guys finish last, like they say, that good girls finish last. But this is the thing about men. When a man first sees a woman, one of two things crosses his mind if he sees an attractive woman. Either one, man, I want to sleep with this girl. Or two, man, she look like wifey material. Those are one of two things that crosses a man's mind. If a man is interested in a woman, he's interested in her in one of those two regards. So, what that means is, if you're a good woman, if you're a virtuous woman, don't lose that character. If the guys in your school or in your job or in your neighborhood are not paying you any mind, consider that a good thing. You're avoiding potential heartbreak or disaster. So a lot of times, women, it's part of a woman's nature. They want attention. They want to be loved. So a lot of girls, they might, buy into the pressure. They see all the fast girls, the girls that are wearing the provocative outfits, the revealing outfits, they're getting all the attention. So they think, you know what, guys don't like me. Let me dress like this or act like this in order to get attention. But attention does not equal love. See, there is good attention, there's bad attention. Just because you're getting attention from all the guys doesn't mean you're getting good attention. That attention is not going to convert into a healthy relationship, into love, or anything like that. So I'm not going to name any names, but there are a lot of celebrities, whether R&B singers, actresses, they're either viewed as a sex symbol, or they're viewed as, man, she's a beautiful woman, or, every guy admires her. It's just something that happens in a guy's mind. Either he wants to be with you romantically or just wants to be with you sexually. Period. It's just that we have to learn to differentiate the two and understand that just because a man is not pursuing you or men are not giving you any attention, don't consider that a bad thing. Because a good man who's looking for something serious, looking for something real is not going to go out there and pursue fast women or promiscuous women. He's looking for a good woman. He's looking for one woman. He's looking for a virtuous woman. And that's what he's going to pursue. Because a man, believe it or not, is able to differentiate. So a lot of times women say, oh, this man doesn't appreciate me, or he doesn't know what he has. He does know what he has. It's either he cares or doesn't care. It's either he wants it or doesn't want it. But he already knows. So again, understand that there's good attention and bad attention. There are men that will see you as, someone that he just wants to sleep with, or someone that he wants to be with. Not to be offensive or anything like that, but just understand, again, maybe a woman might not be promiscuous, but for whatever reason, maybe she comes off that way, and a man might, pursue her in that manner, but it's because those are the two things that crosses a man's mind when he first sees a woman. How do you know if a man really wants a serious relationship? It all boils down to the fact that actions speak louder than words. Ladies, this is the secret. You have to pay attention to a man's actions. Talk is cheap. Anyone can say anything, but not anyone can say anything. Not anyone can do anything. Now, some guys might be shy. Some guys are afraid of rejection. They might be interested in you. They can't tell you, but they're showing you. A lot of times you might see, a woman, she finds out, man, so-and-so, we've been friends for a long time. I didn't know he was interested in me in that way. He's never said anything. He probably didn't feel like he had to say anything. He had to show it, because you can't lie about your actions. You can lie about your words. You can say anything. But how you feel, you're going to show it. So the key is to pay attention to a man's actions. Now, not saying that a man shouldn't say how he feels. Yes, he should say how he feels. But if his actions are not backing his words, then you gotta call the BS. If a man, if he says that he wants to be with you, yet he has a whole bunch of girls that he's dealing with on the side, what does that tell you? That means that he's just messing with your head. He's just pulling you along. You see what I'm saying? If a man says he's committed to you, or he wants to be married to you one day, but he's not showing it, proving it, you can't just sit there and just buy his words and say, well, he said it, he meant it. No, it's about his actions. You have to pay very close attention to a man's actions. Things like a man showing that he cares, a man being there for you, supporting you, wanting to see you on your feet, calling you all the time, texting you all the time to make sure you're okay. Showing compassion. Things like that. Things that a lot of people will say is, oh, he's being thirsty, or, he's being needy. But check this out. In the Bible, it says that the woman comes from the man's rib, right? So what does your rib protect? Your rib protects your internal organs. It protects your heart, your lungs, your stomach, things like that. Without your ribs, you can't survive. So if a man is acting as if he cannot live without you, it's because he found his rib. He found what he's been looking for his whole life. He didn't even realize that he was missing something until he found you. A man cannot live without his ribs. If he's acting as if he just can't breathe without you, well, guess what? Your trachea, your esophagus, all of that. Your trachea, which connects to your lungs, is inside your ribs as well. So obviously, he cannot breathe without you. He cannot live without you. Because a woman completes a man. A man doesn't complete a woman. A man needs a woman. A woman doesn't need a man. So if a man is acting as if he really needs you, that's how you know that he really wants you, he really wants to be with you, and he wants to be in a serious relationship with you. It does not mean that he's being needy or he's being weak or being soft or anything of that nature. What makes a man fall in love? Well, there's a saying, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach, right? That's absolutely correct. Now, you see, as a man, you're working hard to provide, to protect. You're doing what you have to do as a man. For your woman, for your wife, for your girlfriend, whatever the case may be. One of the best feelings is to come home to a home-cooked meal prepared by your woman, showing gratitude for the hard work that you're doing, the responsibility that you're taking as a man to make sure that the bills are paid, to make sure that the lights stay on, that there's always a roof over your heads, that there's clothes on the kid's back. See, a man's job is to provide and protect. A woman's job is to nourish and nurture. So the way to a man's heart is to nourish him and nurture him, to show love, to show affection, believe it or not. Now, for example, I seen this video on social media one time where it was supposed to be like a funny video, but this man, he asked his girl to make him a sandwich, just make him something to eat. He was polite about it. Her response was, "The fuck I look like? You got me fucked up. Go make your own fucking sandwich." That right there is not the type of mindset you want to have if you want to have a man's heart. Again, a man's job is to provide and protect, because that same woman, she would expect for him to, give her money, so to speak. If she want to get her hair done or her nails done, he has to be the man. He has to step up and he has to give her money to get her hair done or her nails done or whatever the case may be. So at the same token, as a sign of gratitude, you have to provide something. You have to provide nourishment, nurturing for the man. It's a give and take. You can't just take, or give. Both ends, both parties have to give and take. That's how you're going to win a man's heart. You have to show that you appreciate him, that you love him, that you respect him, and that you acknowledge the fact that he's being the man that he's supposed to be. You have to give him credit, so to speak, for being the man that he's supposed to be. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all learned a lot today. And most importantly, I hope I didn't offend anyone. But please feel free to reach out. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, my information is on the bottom of the screen. You can email me at info@meettokeepmatchmaking.com, or you can visit my website, www.meettokeepmatchmaking.com, and be on the lookout for part 2, Understanding Women. Take care.